Okay, so a new scene entirely. We're starting over. We're starting to get another scene. Ming knows what he has to do. Master said, "Hey, leave immediately." So that's what we're gonna do. So as always, new scene. We're gonna. Well, sorry. First scene set up. Ming has gathered his things and he's going. He's climbing up, not north, up in elevation to the top of the mountain where the monastery resides. I think that where Taiyang and Master Dalong went, that's like a kind of a path out to the back gate of the monastery. I'm imagining that this, because it's a holy, a very sacred space to the order, they're going to keep, this is going to be like a path. It's still in the monastery, maybe off to the side next to the library or somewhere else. There's going to be a path. It's going to be very, not hidden, but it's going to be very, there's not going to be like signs saying, hey, this is where it goes. It's almost maybe a path that's going to be even got a couple wooden gates over it in front of it. So people, it's not very noticeable. And so Ming goes to it, steals himself, and heads out. So the scene setup is simple. We're going up to the top of the mountain. Let's roll our chaos die. Remember, chaos was down to 4 because Ming's been relatively in control. Let's see what if this is going to be altered in any way. So 5 or more, it's altered. 5. Okay, so odd is an altered scene, which means doesn't quite happen quite like we think it should. Ming is getting his things ready to go. And he's walking kind of to the area by the library where the path leads up. And as he goes past it, so at this point, several of the word has spread, right, that Ming is going to undertake the Rite of Selection. And so maybe at this point, several of the senior brothers and also full brothers who have also undergone the rite, they're all there to encourage him. Like, you got this, you can do this, you've got this, yeah, yeah. But I think also you're going to have some of them are going to be supportive and some others are going to be very much, hey, be careful. Be careful. You know, they're going to really impress upon Ming. Be careful. They're trying to remind him of how dangerous it is. So I'm going to actually do a save real quick. Is this gonna shake me? Is this gonna be like, oh geez, they're telling me to be careful quite a bit? I'm gonna do just a regular old wisdom save. DC will be 10 plus chaos rank 4, and that's 14. DC 14. Oh, cool. So 14 plus 4 is 18. So yeah, it's not enough to shake him, make him worried or anything, but like he notices, wow, they're telling me to be careful quite a bit, probably a bit more than he thought they would. So either way, nothing. I mean, it wasn't quite the the quiet the embarkation that he was hoping, but several of them are encouraging him, and I think that's going to be more beneficial to him. But I think he's also going to make a mental note that Taiyang is not in the crowd that's encouraging him. So remember, something's going on there. We'll figure it out when we get out. So we're on our way now. So Ming is heading up into the mountain. So in my head, I'm imagining this is going to be a series of skill checks. And these skill checks are going to vary in difficulty and things like that. And so what I've decided to do is I'm going to roll a d12. The d12 will be how many checks we're going to do that. Now, I think this is a pretty dangerous climb. And so I'm going to re-roll anything under 5, right? So if it's 4 or less, I'm going to re-roll that because I think it should be at least 5. So we'll see how many checks and steps and things to get to the top. Oh, goodness. So 4, we'll re-roll it. 2, re-roll. There we go, 9. All right. So 9 steps to the top. 9 different checks that have to be made to get to the top. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. All right. So as you can see, I've got 9 different checks that we're going to be going through. So every time that Ming successfully completes a check, I'll check it. And if he fails it, I'll cross it out. I'll say that he's got to get 6 successes, and if he gets more than 3 failures, he's got to come back down from the mountain. As he goes along the path, he's starting to climb. And now at first, it's just a gentle slope up the side of the mountain. Of course, it's It's still very low in elevation. But I think he's immediately going to know. He's going to pull his overcloak tighter. The wind maybe starts picking up some more. The temperature drops. I think it's going to be quite dramatic, to the point where if it was precipitating at all, it would surely be snow. And so it's cold, but he's in relatively high spirits after getting sent off like that. So I think our first check that we're going to do is he's going to come up to kind of a mini, not mini, but a small cliff face. It's going to lead up to a higher path. And he's got to climb that. So that's going to be, I'm going to make it an athletics check. And so here's what we'll do. In the first one, it'll be, the DC will always be 10 plus the order in the sequence. So 10 plus 1 equals, you guessed it, a 11. So he has to roll an 11 for athletics. He'll be fine. Yep. All right, 8 plus, oh, it's close. 8 plus 7, that's what, 15? Yeah, so he does succeed, so that's one success. It's one success on his chart. So he makes his way up, no problem. He's got his a quarterstaff that he got from the monastery strapped to his back. He's got his darts on the side. He left his bag and trail rations down at the monastery. I don't think he knows this isn't going to take all like a week longer than the afternoon or whatever, but still dangerous. So he makes to the top of that, the path continues on. Now, here's the question: what is the next obstacle he has to overcome? In my head, I'm imagining that eventually you're going to get to a point where it's kind of another cliff face. But before we get there, here's my question for the fate chart: is there a river in this island? Or on this island, is there a river on the mountain somewhere? Is there a river that comes off the mountain? I'm 50-50. I don't know. So yeah, 85 is remember at Chaos Rank 4, so that's a no. So there's no river that comes off this mountain. So we don't have to worry about like a rushing river or anything like that. What other mountain problems? I think there's I know what it is. So he comes around the path, and then in front of him, there is a break in the path. There's a chasm. And so across the way, the path continues, but there is a chasm between them. I think maybe that there's a bridge there, but it's since fallen. Maybe on purpose, I don't know, but the bridge is no longer usable, and you have to find a way across. I think he's just going to jump. I think it's no problem, but before he does that, he is going to activate his ring of jumping. Now remember, this is the ring that Leah gave him, and we found out a couple sessions ago that it enables him to cast the jump spell on himself after wearing it for so long. So he's going to focus on it, touch it. He's going to think about Leah and remember her presence, and then she feels some kind of magical energy infuse him, and he's able to jump even further than normal now. So I'm going to give him advantage on this check. It's going to be another athletics check, and yes, 10 plus the second check is going to be 12. So with advantage because of his jump. Oh dear. So a 1 and a 2. Okay, this isn't good. So we get our first failure, so that's going to be a 9. That definitely does fail. So we'll mark failure on this. Remember, 3 failures, and Ming's going to have to essentially leave and try again. All right, so he does make it across. He's going to make it across, but he runs and he jumps and he knows he made it. In fact, I think he probably overshot a little too much. And so he notices the path is curving this way. As he's landing, he realizes he doesn't have a lot of space to stop himself. Right? Of course, this all happens in an instant in his judgments, and he knows that as the path curves to the left, he's only got maybe like 5 feet left before he goes over the edge after he lands. And so normally he would try to roll and kind of slow himself down, but he's got to find a way to stop himself right now. Well, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend a key point. And so as he's in there, he's like, quickly does the form he has to do for Fist of Unbroken Air. Now, normally this pushes another creature, but I think he's going to try and do it to push himself. He's going to essentially hoping that the fact that he's in the air will slow him down quickly. So the DC, the strength saving throw is 15. Instead of a saving throw, I'm going to make it a wisdom check because he is using his key abilities. So DC will be 15 for wisdom, so that's plus 4. All right, 14 plus 18. So as he sees the edge of the path quickly approaching, and he does the burst of air, and it kind of just stops him in air, and he lands and takes a couple steps forward, the edge of the path, and he looks down, seeing the chasm going, the edge of the mountain and down into the valley before, and he takes a step back, and he can only really afford 2 more failures. So, all right. So we succeed. He goes on, but he does use a key point. That is going to be resources he used to stop this, to do this. So, all right. Moving on. So we're on to our third challenge. I think this time, what could it be? I think he's going to encounter another cliff face, but the cliff face before was nice and small. This one I think is a much steeper cliff face, but I'm imagining that it's got like little steps carved into it, but it's so tall that it's not a matter of strength getting to the top of this portion. I think it's an act of endurance. I think he has plenty of handholds and all that sort of stuff, but you have to just keep going. So I'm gonna have him make a Constitution check. So Constitution's not one of his weakest, so he'll be okay. So plus 3, and because it is the third challenge, is going to be a 13 for the DC. Here we go. You gotta be kidding me. So with a 2 plus 3 equals a 5, that's a failure. So yep, there's that. So we're 2 failures out of 3. Oh, did I make this too hard? All right. So I might have, but oh well, we're in it now. So he fails this one. He gets about halfway up, and he has to kind of wedge himself along the steps and just. He's struggling. What can he do here? Well, so I think Ming is going to. He's tired. He wants to stop, but he's going to push himself. And because he failed his Constitution check, I think this is actually going to hurt. And maybe he's stretching him. He's pushing himself a little too hard. I'm actually going to give him some damage. He's not like getting hurt, but I think this is to reflect the fact that he is pushing himself. And so I'm going to do a 1d10 for damage. Maybe, and then we'll do plus 3 because that's the level of the challenge. So 1d10 plus 3 for damage. Okay, so 9 plus 3 equals 10, 11, 12 damage to Ming. So he's hurt. I mean, that maybe climbing up the steps. He's not really trained in endurance, and he finally gets to the top, but he's pushed himself. So he lays out on the ground. The air is getting thinner and it's harder to breathe. He's tired already, and he's thinking, "Oh goodness, what have I gotten myself into?" Okay. We have to succeed in the next 5. All right, so he continues on. What is the next challenge? I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to roll a d6. So if I roll 1 to 2, it's going to be another climb. If I roll 3 and 4, it's going to be another jumping challenge. And then if I roll a 5, it's going to be an easier challenge, so it's going to be easier than normal. And if I roll a 6, it's going to be even hard. It's going to be an even harder challenge, harder than those two. So 1 to 2 climbing. 1 to 2 climbing, 3 to 4 jumping. 5 is going to be an easier challenge. 6 will be much harder. So let's roll. 3. So that's going to be a jumping challenge. All right. So Ring of Jumping is still active. He still has the jump spell. I think it lasts for 1 minute. All right. So never mind. He doesn't have that on him anymore, but he's a monk. He's got this. So he walks on the path, and there yet again is another bridge that's out. And so 10 plus 4 is 14 is going to be our DC. This is going to be an acrobatics check to jump. I'm not going to give him advantage on this one because He's not using the ring of jumping anymore. And the reason it was athletics last time, it was about distance. I think this is going to be more about, can he jump at the right time? He's being more careful. He knows he can make it. It's a matter of, can he time his jump and not over jump it like he did last time. So yeah, let's do it. So 10 plus, so 4 is the DC. So let's do it. Oh goodness, 14 is DC, please. Oh, good. Okay. 18 plus 6 equals 24. 2 successes, 2 failures. All right. So he gets past this. He jumps and he lands and he takes a couple steps forward, makes it past it, no problem. Okay. So the air at this point is getting difficult to breathe. So after the next 2 challenges, I'm going to have him do just a blanket constitution check to see if he's able to keep going, because this is very difficult. The air is quite thin as he gets higher. I also think that once we get up to the last check, it's probably going to be done at disadvantage if it's an athletics check for sure. So we'll worry about that. Why am I making this harder? Because as it's been established, this is an incredibly difficult climb, and it's going to get even harder as time goes on. So we're now on to our 5th challenge. So same thing as before. Except this time it's going to be 1 to 4 is going to be a climbing challenge because he did a jumping challenge. And then 5 will be a really easy one and 6 will be a really hard one. So let's do it. 1 to 4, 5, and 6. 2. So it's a climbing challenge again. All right. So he comes, this time he's walking straight along the edge of the mountain. And we'll say the path is getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner to the point where he's like backing. He's thinking, where do I go? And that's when he feels on his hand, he feels a handhold or some kind of divot cut into the side of the mountain. And he kind of looks up and sees that the path ends and it's a sheer climb up. This is a do or die climb, meaning that there's no safe place to fall if he does lose his grip. The peril is just raised quite a bit. So 5th challenge, we're going to do a athletics check. So 10 plus the challenge is 5, so 15 is going to be our DC. Things get more and more difficult as time goes on. I'm wondering if there's something I can do to make this easier. All right. So Ming is going to ready an action to do something in case he does fall. So keep that in mind. I've got something readied in case I have to fall. We have something to help us out with. All right. We'll see if it works. So, all right. So this one is going to be 10 plus 5. So this is going to be a athletics check again. DC 15. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I need a 8. No, right? 8 plus 7. I need an 8 or higher. Of course it's not. All right, that's our 3rd failure. So that means that the next failure is complete. Like we have to turn around. That was the last failure that we could afford. So as you can see, 3 failures, 2 successes. That was the last failure we could afford. So the rest of these have to be successes. So Ming gets, we'll say he gets actually further than halfway up. He can see the top, right? He can see, because I was only 3 away from success. He can see the top up there, and he feels it. The air is getting to him. His fatigue is growing too much, and he slips. Now remember I said I readied something, right? So I readied Water Whip. Now normally Water Whip pulls creatures to you, but I'm gonna kind of loosely interpret it this time to him to grab onto the top and pull himself up. The DC for that is 15. It's a dexterity saving throw. I'm going to make it a dexterity check. So, dexterity is 3. He's got to hit this. He's got to hit this. All right, let's do it. Dexterity 15, and he's got to do it. All right. He reaches for the whip. It lodges into the rock. It doesn't grab the top. And he just, bam, smacks into the side of the rock. He's got the water whip still on. He grabs onto a handhold, but blood starts coming out of his nose. He's hurting now. So I'm going to do another damage. So we're going to do another D10 plus this time 5 because this is the fifth obstacle. 15 damage. Okay. Ming at this point is hurting. Blood. He's quickly going to do that, and he finishes the climb, gets to the top, pulls himself up. Water whip didn't do what I wanted it to do, but hey, at least it did save him. I'll keep it there. We have 4 shots left. We have to succeed on every single one of them. This is getting... I don't know about this. All right. So at the top of the ledge, there's a path going forward. I think he's gonna take a moment to... Ming does have a healer's kit, and so I think he would have brought that with him. He would have brought that with him. And so he can restore 1d6 plus 4 hit points to himself. He's going to take a moment to do that. Nice. 8 hit points back to himself. All right. He takes a moment to dress his wounds and kind of put some gauze up his nose, and he feels a little bit better. Maybe he got a little scuffed up on the arms when he hit the rock face, and he deals with that. This stinks. This sucks, but we are where we are. Moving on. So we have 4 challenges left. So next one is going to be a 1 to 3. It's going to be the super easy challenge, and then 4 to 5 to 6 is going to be a little bit tougher challenge. He needs a break, man. He needs a break. Oh, goodness. Okay, so 2. I think for this one, the challenge is going to be, he's just got to endure the cold. That's it. And so he's coming around. There's no peril to it. It's just, can you suffer through the cold? I think at this point, he's so determined. He's already gone through so many failures and things. He's pretty determined. I'm going to have him make a Constitution check with advantage, just because, he's got his coat on, he's got his staff, he's determined. So we'll say, so it's the 6th one. It's the 6th challenge. So 10 plus 6 goes 16. So Constitution's 3 with advantage. Oh goodness, I got to make a good one. Okay. I would have succeeded even with the low one. So 18 plus 3 is 21. So he definitely succeeds on that. So 3 failures, 3 successes, and we've got 3 challenges left. And he has to succeed on all of them. All right. So this next one, we've done all that. The next one is going to be a really difficult challenge. Fate chart. Are there any creatures that live on this mountain? 50-50. 50. That's going to be a no. So, there are no creatures that live on this mountain. Then what kind of challenge would he face? I think... Oh, no. I think this is going to be environmental. I don't think it's going to be really like something that was set up, like the jumps and the climbs. That's all kind of set up to endure. I think maybe he's gotten to a part of the journey that's actually relatively light. It's a winding path up the side of the mountain, very sheer top clip mountain at this point. I think it's going to be environmental. We'll do this fate chart. 50-50. Is something environmental bad? Something bad about to happen. 50-50. 25. That is, remember we're at Chaos Rank 4, so that is, we're at Chaos Rank 5 now. No, 4. Oh no. That's an exception. That's a yes. So, yeah. Alright. That's a yes. Oh goodness. Alright. So Ming is going up the cliff, and he hears a kind of a rumbling noise, and he feels the rumbling noise. The mountain is shaking. Some kind of earthquake. What is that earthquake? I don't know. It's just an earthquake. So he's got to make some kind of check, some kind of roll, or some kind of save to kind of cling to the side of the mountain without getting shaken off. I'm going to make him do a strength save. And so this is going to be DC 16. So he's just got to roll a 9 or higher. Goodness gracious. Oh, goodness gracious. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, we're in. We're in. It's okay. So 12 plus 7 is going to be a 19. And that's now another success. Okay, so they're shaking, the mountain's shaking back and forth, and he's kind of grabbed onto a boulder and just ride it out. Eventually, the shaking does subside. He hears something. He hears it, but he can't. He's not sure if it's the wind or what. But he hears a. He's thinking, that's got to be the wind, right? That's got to be the wind, right? Don't know. We have 2 more challenges left. Let's finish them. So, these last 2 challenges, they're already intense. And so I think at this point, it's just going to be straight constitution checks. All of the perilous stuff of falling has already been done. This is just, can you endure? So the first one, 10 plus 8, 18, Constitution. So we've got to roll high on this. Natural 20. A natural 20. So I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to say a natural 20 is awesome, and he's going to succeed the next 2 Constitution checks. So he's succeeded by the skin of his teeth with half his health points. Yeah, he's barely survived this, but he did. He pushes through, and at this point, the wind is getting harsh, and he swears he can hear something over the wind, but he's just not sure. And he's pushing and pushing, and finally the path comes to a gate. A gate made of rough-hewn stone, but still carved, not by tools, clearly by something natural, claws, maybe perhaps. There's burn marks on it. It's clearly made. It's a draconic origin, and scrawled into the archway of the gate, in crude draconic runes, is a name. In that name, I rolled earlier for this. Nissaranth. Nissaranth the dragon. Now, Ming knows this name. His name is Nissaranth, the Redeemer of Men. That's what they believe his name to be. But just seeing the name carved into the archway, it is a moment for him. He takes a moment to relish in the fact that he made it here at the top of the mountain. He made it. And so he walks forward very, very trepidatiously. He has no idea what to expect. When he goes past the gates, I can imagine that the mountain is kind of closed off, and he's going into kind of a very narrow crevice. And so on the walls, he sees several different things scribbled, made with actual human tools, names that even he recognizes, names of ancient elders of the order, and members of even brothers that he recognizes downstairs in the order as well. He's seeing these names, and he realizes these are people who have made it this far. And he even notices a little bit further along the way there is a crate or some kind of box, maybe a basket. And inside there's a hammer and chisel set. And there's a small little wooden placard with inscrawled on it in Draconic, says, "Place your name among the chosen." So he does that. Takes the hammer and chisel out, finds a space on the wall, and just ding, ding, goes to town, chiseling his name into the wall. He's made it. He's among the chosen now, right? Just barely. And so he finally chisels his name, Ming Zao, into the wall, and takes a step back and revels in his victory. He puts the chisel and the hammer back into the basket, and he continues on. As he continues on, I think he's going to hear it. There's no wind. He's in the crevice, so he doesn't hear the wind. That's when he hears. It's unmistakable. The low, grumbling, the moan of a dragon. Earlier when I rolled to figure something out that I told you I wouldn't tell you about, that was this. I rolled, has the dragon departed? And I rolled, no. The dragon hasn't. And in my head, I imagine the dragon's long since gone, right? And that's what they're taught. That's what the master says downstairs, that the dragon's left. We don't have the dragon anymore, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. And so Ming walks forward. He sees kind of a light at the end of the crevice, and he comes out into a clearing. And you can see it, looking up, walls go up in all directions, and it looks to be some kind of dormant volcano kind of thing, but it's just a hollowed out area. And there in front of him, sitting on his perch, on a huge, massive stone altar that has been carved with intricate carvings of different draconic forms and figures, sits a massive elder dragon. And this dragon looks down on him, and smoke is pillowing out of his nostrils. Occasionally a spark of flame shoots out as he breathes heavily. And Ming is absolutely floored. He had no idea to expect this. No idea that this was going to happen. But here in front of him, and he knows who it is immediately. It's Nissaranth, the dragon that formed his order, the founder of the Order of the Dragon. He's made it. What happens now? We'll figure that out next time. Thank you so much for watching my solo Dungeons & Dragons adventures as Ming barely makes it to half the time. But still, I'm enjoying this so far. Ming's at the top. He's meeting the dragon of his order. It's exciting. We'll see what comes of it. No idea what this dragon's like. We'll find out next time. So please like, subscribe, follow along, do all the dumb YouTube stuff. Again, whether you watch it or not, I'm enjoying it, and that's all that really matters, isn't it? So thank you so much. My name is Kenneth. I'm the Lone Dice Guy. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.